Thank you so much, Glynnis, for your time. Welcome to Anele and the Club.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone.
Do you laugh sometimes?
I laugh a lot of the time, actually.
Really?
Sometimes from happiness and sometimes from pure despair.
So let's go back to UFS, University of Free State. That's where you did your law degree, right?
That's correct.
What said to you that you need to go into the legal field?
It seemed like a versatile degree to study. I had a cousin who was studying law, and I had a good friend whose cousin was a lawyer, and it looked like she was having fun, and that's why I did law. You shouldn't be a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, a policeman if you want to make money.
Right.
You're supposed to be serving South Africans. You're supposed to be. It's a public service.
Right.
And for my entire adult life, I was a prosecutor, and believe me, there's no money in prosecuting. If you want to get rich, don't be a prosecutor.
But do you lose respect for people who do that, who go into these professions for money? But because now I've lost the respect for you, but then you still have to interact with them all the time. And, like, is it difficult for you to put your loss of respect for somebody aside and work with them?
No, it's easy to put your loss of respect for somebody aside and work with them. But unfortunately, I have quite a big mouth, so I just say so. You make law and lawyers unaffordable, and that's really not why we studied law. You study law to help people.
So which wrong thing do we go with the most that has you putting your head in your hands and you're like, just shut up, guys, because you don't know what you're talking about?
People don't really understand the presumption of innocence. If you're accused of something, you're innocent until proven guilty. The law says so. The Constitution of South Africa guarantees that. And so when somebody does something wrong, everybody wants to hang them from the nearest lamppost. Immediately. And there are many sides to a story, and the truth lies somewhere in between. So people are very quick to jump on and with bail. Everybody says, lock them up, throw away the key. No bail. Bail's got nothing to do with guilt or innocence. It's purely a mechanism to make sure that the accused attends their trial.
Right.
And so people confuse what bail is, and they continue to say, throw the key away, put them in jail. It's not how the law works. So that drives me crazy.
Did you cover this in your book, Rule of Law?
Yeah, I did.
Why did you write the book?
I wrote the book because I wanted South Africans to understand the power of their power. That the law gives them power.
You would be one of the people who advocate that the South African law, the South African Constitution, is perhaps the most fair, in the entire planet. It's just how we uphold it and how we execute it that is letting us down.
Absolutely. We've got one of the most progressive constitutions in the world, and it's a living document. It's not a block of concrete. It's a living document.
Steadfast. It's moves.
It lends itself to development in society. We've got a wonderful constitution, and it does protect all South Africans as long as all South Africans respect each other equally.
Have you never wanted to be a judge?
Never want to be a judge. Judge needs to be above the arena.
The squabble.
You can't climb down there and get your hands dirty. No,
and that's where you are.
Oh, no, that's where I am for sure.
Now, is the reason you're not scared to climb down and get into the squabble, is it because there's already been a hit on your life twice that you're just like, guys, it's okay now. I'm not scared anymore. Come at me.
Well, no, they're not very good at it because clearly here I am.
Because I hear that you almost drove over the one guy who tried to kill you.
I tried very hard because he was too quick.
Oh, okay. So what was happening there? Did they pull out a gun? Were they going to shoot you and then you went for them? They were trying.
They were shooting at me on the highway. It was early in the morning on my way to gym. So I was the only car on the highway, basically.
Yeah, this is the problem with consistency.
4:30 in the morning. Yeah, same route.
They know where you are.
At the gym.
Every day, same route, same time. So he was standing in the highway shooting at me. It was in Pretoria, so
Yeah.
on the John Foster off ramp of the highway, and then they have those concrete things in the middle of the highway. So when he jumped over there, and there was a car waiting for him there, and then they drove off. Yeah, so I missed him because then I was driving a big X5, and they don't accelerate very quickly.
This not good for you, BMW. But now,
no, it's a armored one, so it's a bit slower than the.
Oh, so your car's bulletproof,
not
so there's
my
lots of
car,
weight.
and I don't have it anymore.
When someone does try off you, do you know exactly why, or do you have to sit down and do a game of a process of elimination? Maybe it's this case, maybe it's that, maybe it's this person, or did you know?
Oh, no, that I knew exactly. I was on suspension. The NPA was busy with my disciplinary, and,
Yeah.
and I was after Richard Mdluli, so I knew exactly where it was.
Oh.
Yeah, no
Because
problem.
that's when you go after the anyone that has intelligence in their name, you know, any kind of intelligence agency. If you go after those guys, that's when you run into this kind of trouble, right?
Yeah, sure, but intelligence is a bit of a misnomer in that context, but yeah.
So now let's go back to when you were grilling Minister Ronald Lamola as well as Becky Taylor, right? Do you see them before you grill them?
I don't see Tele all that much, but I see Ronald Lamola every week. And we have to work together, and of course there's no animosity. It's not personal.
Now with this specific case, this Thabo Bester case and Dr. Nandipa, when you are watching it, because you're not part of the NPA anymore, right?
No.
Now you're watching it from the outside, and you can see that there's loopholes, there's things that you're doing wrong. You're gonna cost this case. These people could walk free. Are you allowed to tell us now what you see glaringly already that they're messing up?
Well, probably not. Yeah, everyone's coming back to the Justice Portfolio Committee for further inquiry. So I'm saving all that up for them. So, you know, it's not... Never interrupt your enemy while they're making a mistake, yeah.
And there are a lot of mistakes that are being made.
We saw the clip of you grilling the G4S, G-Force, whatever they're called, people. When you look at something like that, as a member of parliament, because you're a member of parliament, what frustrates you in that moment the most? Is it the corruption you see happening? Is it the wastefulness? What is it?
The endemic corruption that's costing ordinary South Africans healthcare, electricity, schools, eradication of pit toilets that we could do. South Africa is not a poor country.
At all.
We could do all of those things if we stopped stealing the budget.
Right.
So that is exceptionally frustrating. And then the willful ignorance and the nonchalance with which it's done, you know.
If Becky Taylor had any integrity, he would resign. Can
Yes.
you unpack on that for us? What are the top 3 reasons why you feel that he's no longer fit to be in that position?
He's never been fit to be in the position. Don't misunderstand me.
Okay.
But if on your watch, this Thabo Bester debacle had taken place, you would resign. Any person in authority would resign because you haven't done your job. You've got one job and you haven't done it.
Well, amongst the dwindling crime stats, you know, with what's happening with crime and corruption in the country, is like you've already shown us that.
No. He's never been fit to hold that position. Never. You forget that he was driven out of Parliament the previous time because of dodgy transactions with buildings with Shabangu. Now he's back as the Minister of Police. Lord alone, and Cyril and the Lord alone know why. And everything's getting worse.
So you are the shadow Minister of Justice, right?
Yes.
For the DA, and the DA comes under crit with just always being reactionary. Like you guys are always reacting. What do you say to that statement? Because I suppose, you know, you're not the ruling party, so how can you be proactive, right? What is your rebuttal to the fact that DA is just reacts to everything the ANC does?
It's not true. It's our job to hold the government to account. That is what the official opposition is supposed to do. That's what all MPs are supposed to do. All opposition MPs are there to hold government to account. Even politicians in the ruling party are there to hold the executive to account. That's your job. So that's reactionary. But it's not true that we're just a reactionary party. We're very proactive. We're constantly offering suggestions, constantly offering policies, constantly pleading for some sort of cooperation to improve the situation. And we have those policies and we have those plans, and we make them. Nobody cares who gets the kudos. We want to see the improvement. And so very often our policies and our solutions are adopted by the ANC, but they don't say it comes from the DA. But that's fine. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because at the end of the day,
as long as the result is a better one for South Africans. So it's absolutely not true that it's just reactive. We spend a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money on offering proactive solutions that are sometimes adopted.
So you've always known that you don't want to be a judge.
Yes.
Why are you not the leader of the DA? Because for me, it seems like you are. No, you've got more insight, you've got more experience, you are a legal eagle, you're an advocate. You speak the truth to power. You are power. Why aren't you the leader? Why is it John?
Well, Johnston hasn't been in politics since he was a young man. I'm an accidental politician. If the NPA hadn't looked for shit with me, I would still have been a prosecutor. So politics wasn't a career of choice for me. It was a solution to a problem.
So you are a think tank. You are not a politician. You are a think tank to politics.
I don't have the skills that are required of a politician. I can't schmooze. I'm not subtle.
Really? You can't schmooze?
No, I've often said that I think that that's more what we need more in politics. Less politicians and more people who are there to do a job. Because like Glynnis is saying, politics is about schmoozing, getting along, creating all these little, like the issues we have in Joburg with the city council, like we've got to create these unities between the parties. And it's like maybe sometimes we've got to put people there who actually just want to do the job and get it done, instead of a politician.
Look, I've never considered standing as a leader of the DA, and I never would. I don't have the skills that are required. I'm very good at alienating people. I'm not terribly good at. I'm not good at, you know.
You're not a people's person.
I'm not. I think I am a people's person, but I'm not a touchy-feely kind of warm and cuddly kind of person. Yeah.
And being a politician requires for you to open up a mall and a creche and
you need to have a little bit of tact, a little bit of subtlety. I have none.
She has been topical after the grilling that she put the G4S guys, as well as Minister Ronald Lamola, as well as Bheki Cele, which was needed. You know, I think it's very rare that something like that happens, and the people, which is us normal people who sitting at home, are like, yeah, man, this is the questions you should be asking them, you know. And how heavily prepped are you going into combat like that? Because I don't think there's room for error, especially on your side when you are on at a level like that.
Well, we did a lot of preparation. The whole committee, I must say, I think performed very well. Not just me. The whole committee performed very well. Everyone was prepared. Everybody prepares by, you know, each party prepares by themselves. So myself and my two colleagues from the DA, we spent a lot of time together preparing. Did a lot of research, a lot of reading. But of course, it's our portfolio. The criminal justice system is where I've spent the last 30 years of my life. It's a space that I'm terribly comfortable in. And so that makes it a little easier. But we did a lot of preparation, we did a lot of reading, and we you know, the Justice Portfolio Committee has oversight over correctional services on a weekly basis. So we know precisely what's going on in correctional services.
And what should be happening.
And we know how it should be run. We know how it's being run and how it should be run.
Is this an isolated incident, or is there something very wrong there and we may be in trouble very soon?
Look, escapes happen often, sadly.
Okay.
But generally the reaction is they get rearrested very quickly. This incident is, I hope, an isolated incident where a serial rapist and murderer, a seriously dangerous person, is allowed out on the streets with the full knowledge of the entire criminal justice cluster leadership. And they did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. Until Ground Up published, they had done nothing. And I'm quite sure that they intended to do nothing. And we don't know the reason for that yet. We've got to keep digging.
I was about to ask you, what is your assumption in what is happening there? Is there a big name that...
There's a big name there somewhere. And we're working on it. Believe me.
All of us are watching TV, we're watching this unfold. And all of us are having the same thought. This cannot be some dude at a prison that goes, okay, let you out. Like, that's impossible.
No. There's a lot of money involved here. At least 23 people had to look the other way. They would not have done so, you know, for a stick of gum. And so there's a lot of money involved, a lot of planning, a lot of precision planning, a lot of access to technology. This was a big deal, and we are not close to the bottom of it just yet. But we're not giving up, I can tell you.
What should happen to Thabo Bester and Dr. Magudumana?
Thabo Bester is a dangerous serial criminal. He should be in prison in a security lockup for. He's got, I think, 3 life terms. So you know, good luck with doing that. His good doctor clearly went beyond just a responsibility in a relationship. She, on the face of it, unless there's something here that's you know, unless she's going to pull a rabbit out the hat, which I seriously doubt.
Could she pull a rabbit? Could she do the whole?
I didn't know.
Or I was a victim. I was, you know.
Not on what we've seen. Not on what's out there. No, she aided and abetted, and she must go to prison for a long time.
Okay.
Oh.
As with everybody else who co-conspired.
All 23.
Well, all of them.
And whoever gets...
And whoever else allowed it to happen.
After that.
Yeah.
And just quickly before we say goodbye, you do, and I love the fact that you dish it on one side and you praise on the other side. You say there are two officials that we need to give a round of applause in the Free State. Can you unpack that a little for us?
Well, there's a lady brigadier in the Free State who, off her own bat, with her own motivation, realized that there was something seriously wrong. And so when Gudumana brought an application in the Pretoria High Court to, or it might have been Johannesburg, I'm not sure, but in Gauteng, to have the
body,
access to the body to cremate it.
Yeah.
She opposed it. And then there was a young warrant officer, I think he's a constable, a young constable who alerted her to the fact that the same person had claimed 3 bodies from the morgue, 3 different bodies in short succession. So, Oppenbacher, he was doing his job, and he didn't just sit there and allow things to happen. He went to his superior, he said, there's a problem here, and made sure that it was attended to. And I unfortunately don't remember his name, but I did call him, and I did thank him for doing his job, because that's what we need. We need policemen on every level of policing
who
to
do
their
their job. Yeah.
There is a young man in a relative small little precinct, and he noticed that something was wrong, and he did something about it. He deserves serious praise, as does the brigadier. So it's no small thing for a police official to depose to an affidavit opposing something in the High Court. She did a very good job, and she deserves the praise.
Yeah, I think, the last 40 minutes just proves to me that we could all benefit from knowing a lot more about the law.
Yeah,
right?
and just Parliament in general.
And just yes, you were talking to Glynnis off air, and you're like, there's this side, there's the National Assembly. It's different from this side. I just, is there a place where there's a crash course where we can read up on it, or must we just carry on following you and learning?
There's Parliament does a thing called Parliament to the People, and that the virtual tours of Parliament. There's a lot of material out there about how Parliament works.
Parliament
it's actually quite
people.
Interesting.
Okay.
Because that's what it is. I mean, Parliament it's a people's Parliament. They're doing the job that everyone who voted sent us there to do. That's what we do.
Are you doing what you want to do? Or is there still another goal before you check out?
I'd like to, at some point, be able to run a small little legal clinic that does pro bono work for people who are in serious trouble, who can't afford legal representation.
But first you have to go to the French Open to watch tennis.
Absolutely. But I'll have to save for that.
Glynnis Breytenbach, thank you so much. I think you've just taken... You were the topic of many WhatsApp groups. I'm sure on TikTok you are...
I don't know what that is.
TikTok is a little thing where we waste our time on whilst you are saving the country.
Anele and the club
on 947.